Hey, colleagues. I am so excited to be here today on this Luncheon Live. Even though, once again, we're not live yet, I need you guys to get my numbers up. I need you guys to subscribe. I need you guys to join the colleagues over here, guys, so we can start going live and actually having lunch together. That's the goal. That's the idea. In addition to the other broadcasts I'll be doing that will be actually long form, podcast sessions and everything. And let me pause and apologize to all of you for yesterday's episode. If you watched it, the episode about at will, where I was breaking down what at will means and why a lot of employers, unfortunately don't exercise their straightforward at will rights. And so if you didn't watch that video, go back and watch that video, guys, because I want you guys to better understand what at will means, because I have so many times, so many conversations with people where they don't quite understand what at will means. And therefore, they don't really know that, they don't, it's kind of like being misapplied. And, because it is being misunderstood, I'm going to make sure my volume is up here. Anyway, because they don't, because it's not because they don't clearly understand it. Okay. But as I was saying, let me apologize because my last video, guys, it was at the end of a long day. The at will video was at the end of a long day, and I was so tired, and I did not have the same energy. And I was like, I don't know if I should never record another video at that time of day again, but I was fried, okay? And I looked fried at that video, and I just want to apologize for that. But we're going to talk about something today that is very important for individuals, for employees, for employers, for business owners to understand, because I've seen it 1,000 times, and because of what it does, guys, it poisons teams. Okay, it destroys trust, guys, and it can cost companies. And so I just want to jump into it. Okay, so what we're talking about today, what we're tackling today, colleagues, is preferential treatment. Preferential treatment, aka favoritism. It can seem like it's no big deal. It can seem like, normal stuff, normal smormal, as I say, whatever the case. But it can seem like normal stuff, guys. But when I tell you, it is so toxic. It is destructive. It is something that if companies understood and really could sit back and understand and assess the impact of it, that they would not tolerate it, guys. It is destructive on so many levels. And let's jump into that part. The way it affects employees, I want to focus on impact, because I feel like that's where that's where favoritism is allowed. That's why it's so normalized and so commonly accepted. It's because people don't sit back and examine and teach and train on the impact of it. Okay, so the impact of preferential treatment. First of all, let's talk about the impact on employees. Employees are people. They are individuals, and individuals in any environment that we're in, we need to feel valued and appreciated. And so when you have a boss, let's just say, for example, you have a boss who's always picking that same person to do the big project, who's always picking that same person to speak up at the meetings, or to do the special thing, or to go, whatever it is. They're always picking the same person or people, right? When you have a boss that, even, for example, this might seem like no big deal. When you have bosses and leaders and people of management and leadership teams that are always going to have lunch with that one person, or that one person's always in their office and, talking to them when they're hammering everybody else to be at work, but yet that one person can come in and just hang out and, blow off company hours and company team, all those things. That will that is what you call preferential treatment. Okay, and that in the workplace is very inappropriate. And let me tell you, it may seem like no big deal. It may seem like, like I said, oh, it's so normal. I'm just, showing this person who's a great employee that, I appreciate them. Or maybe you guys have somehow, just managed to have a natural connection, which can happen, in the workplace and everything. But it is inappropriate. And as I just said, it is also destructive. The reason, like I said, that it is destructive. Let's focus on, like I said, impact. Actually, let me back up. Let me give a couple more examples before I do that. So, like I said, always choosing the same person or the same people to speak up in meetings, to do special assignments or projects or whatever the case is, or hammering everybody else for certain things, but letting particular individuals get away with those things. That is also preferential treatment, guys. It's just it's different ways that it can play out, guys, and we know what it looks like. We know when there's that teacher's pet, kind of energy going on between a boss and an employee, a manager and employee. It definitely should not happen with any HR member and employees. Though I've seen it, it does happen. There was one company that I was a part of where the HR manager was going out to have drinks with particular employees. How inappropriate is that? How inappropriate is that? Do you know the kind of message you can send when HR managers and members of HR are going out and hanging out, and doing there's and doing, these kind of things with employees? It sends a bad message. It sends a message of potential unfair treatment. And if as a business owner, if I were you as a business owner, I would set a high standard that kind of fraternizing, that kind of hanging out is unacceptable, because you want to do what's going to be in the best interest of your business, your bottom line. Nobody makes money in order to have to turn around and write people checks for something irresponsible that somebody else in their organization is doing. These kind of things are not just, they're dangerous. And too many times we see people getting away with it because they're not really good judgments of impact, importance, and priority. It's just that simple. And a lot of people can be in your business working for you, like I said, as managers and as HR members. They can be in your business working for you without a true interest in the success of your business. And that should not be acceptable. You want to bring people onto your team, and you want to bring people onto your team who have a genuine invested interest in the success of your organization. And not only that, you want to make sure that you train those people, even if they have a genuine interest. Sometimes people are not cognizant of the impact that these little things can have, and how they start to become, poisonous, like I said, to your company. That's not what they're there for. You didn't hire people to be poisonous. You hired people to help to join the team, and the team has a common goal, and the common goal is the success of your organization. And so there's that part. Those is just, like I said, just some of the ways that we can see this, this preferential treatment, playing out in the workplace. Now let's get into the impact. Morale. Do you know how impactful it is, negatively impactful it is for employees who are showing up to do their part, that they're working hard, they have skills to offer your company, they have time that they're selling to your company, and they show up to work and they're being treated less than or less important or not as friendly as this particular individual or these particular individuals are. That will destroy morale. And what is morale? Morale is that excitement, that hopefulness, that, that thing, that zing that people have about their job and their ability to come in and contribute, and their potential for promotions and to culminate within the organization. You want employees to be full of morale. You want people to come to work and be proud of their particular contribution to the job, to the organization. You want people to bring their best emotional self to work. If you don't understand employees, and if you don't understand the most vital resource in an organization, which is human resources, you will fail at understanding the importance of morale. Morale is key. I'm telling you, it's not just skills. It's not just coming to do your work. No, you want people to come in and be excited to do their work. You want people to walk through the doors excited, even if they need more money, even if they're looking for promotions, even if you want them to come in and be excited that they are contributing their time, skills, efforts, and energy to your company. You want them to be excited, guys. And when you have favoritism and preferential treatment happening in the workplace, anybody can put in the comments, anybody can tell you in the comments a time that they have experienced this or witnessed it, and that it has a negative impact. And I'm going to tell you a little secret too. Most people who are serious about their work and serious about your business and the success and being excellent in their role, they are the people who are moving around for, with all the little extra busy stuff the least. Let me tell you, what I mean is, like, they're not the social butterfly. I'm not saying that great people aren't sociable, because being sociable is a good balance in the workplace, at least to the extent of, it being, what are, things that are appropriate is what I'm saying within the workplace. So that is good. You want people that are able to be sociable and, to, like I said, to an extent, and understanding, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate for the workplace and all that, because we'll have that in another video. But my point is, some of the most key players on your team are focused on their work. And you know what happens a lot of times in workplaces? The people who are too busy and the people who don't care about your company, they are spending a lot of energy over friending and overdoing other stuff in the company. And those are the people who end up getting preferential treatment. I've seen it a million times. I've seen it so many times in companies. It is a good balance to be social, but you want people to be friendly, but you have to protect that morale among your key players who just aren't as loud and aren't as, buzzing as some other people. Be very mindful and pay attention to a person's performance. Pay attention to the fruit that the person is producing in terms of, how they're helping to contribute to your organization. And do not allow or tolerate, like I said, preferential treatment and favoritism in the workplace. And if you are the owner, trust you are having a negative impact on your own company by allowing this or playing into it. You want another way that it impacts employees: innovation. People are not going to want to show up and be innovative and create solutions and offer ideas and, show and bring in their, sort of their talents and everything there, and introduce, new parts of their skill set to your organization. They're not going to want to do that for you if their morale is low in result of them experiencing, or observing preferential treatment. They are just not going to do it, guys. I'm telling you, I've seen these things 1,000 times. Let's get the more serious side of it as far as the impact on employees: turnover. Great people leave companies every day because they just don't have time for, for the foolishness. I'm being honest. They will leave your company in a heartbeat because great people know, I have great skills, great talent, great work ethic. I can pack up and take it down the road to the next company. I can carry these transferable skills to a competitor. People understand their value, and when they feel undervalued, they don't want to keep contributing to a company. So if there's preferential treatment where there's the boss's pet, or one person or two people who are always being chosen, it is going to impact your company. It's going to impact your turnover. And that is not something that you should allow from yourself. And that's not something that you should allow your management team and those who you have hired to help contribute to the success of your organization. You should not be allowing or tolerating that from your management team on any level. And like I said, we especially should not see that with HR managers, because that is a whole different level of liability. Now, getting into how this impacts the company. I think I've already covered when I said turnover. Let's not even, like I said, let's get into productivity. Low morale, guess what? Impacts productivity. People who are passionate and who enjoy what they do will produce more of what they're doing, what you need them to do for your company. It is proven. Go check the facts, go study the statistics. Low morale impacts your company and it impacts your productivity. You want to create an environment that is going to be conducive to what your overall goal is, and that is to have organizational success, to reach to accomplish organizational goals, right? But see, that matters more than just saying this is what our goal is and then forgetting about all the other parts. You have to keep an eye on how morale within your organization is being impacted. And when you have managers and you have people in place who are practicing preferential treatment and favoritism, they will poison your company. They will destroy your people's morale, and they will negatively impact productivity within your company, guys. And I'm telling you, you cannot treat, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying, and I hope this doesn't, strike anybody the wrong way, but I have to be honest with you here. You cannot treat your employees, ever what bracket you consider them to be in, ever what level of, whether it's entry level or, whatever level they are in your organization, you never want to allow people to treat your employees like bottom feeders. And I know that's a terrible word for me to say, and forgive me. I may, tell me in the comments if it's offensive. I'll never say it again because I want to be considerate. But I'm using language that we all can understand. You cannot do it, guys. You have to be mindful of how every employee in your company is being treated. One great leader who I love to read and I love to study is Howard Schultz. If you have not studied him, check him out. Check out his books. I say it, I claim it. He's not paying me anything to say that right now, but I love leaders who lead, who believe in taking care of their people, guys. You cannot expect to build a great, strong company. And like I tell it, without taking good care of your people. And like I tell people, there are plenty of millionaires who should be billionaires, but because they are leaving out so many things and leaving so much on the table in terms of how they run their business, in terms of how they treat their most important resources, they are missing out. Again, innovation. You can have a brilliant person within your organization that's being overlooked because they're being mistreated, and because somebody on your management team prefers this person and has more friendship with that person and wants to go out to have drinks with that person, have coffee with that person and dinner with that person. And what you're doing, you're allowing these poisonous individuals to poison your company. There should be zero tolerance for preferential treatment. And like I said, start at the top. Make sure that you're not doing it. Make sure you're not participating in it. But as it comes to the employees, I want to say this. If you are observing or witnessing preferential treatment, you always, first of all, like I always say here, start with yourself. Make sure that you're bringing your best self to the table. Make sure that you're not just saying, oh, this person's being treated better because, whatever, when the truth is, you're not giving yourself the opportunity. You're not bringing your best self to the table. You're showing up to work late. You're not wearing what you're supposed to be wearing. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. You have to cover the basics. You have to excel in all aspects of your particular role. You want to be excellent in everything that you do within your job. Leave people with no reason to get rid of you. Let them, if somebody wants to fire you, like I say, let it be. Let them have to create a reason. Do not ever put yourself in a bad position. So like I said, always start with you. Always start with self. But then, like I always say, you always bring your best self to the table and be prepared to deal with those who don't reciprocate. Here's the thing. If you are witnessing this in the organization, you should at least always give your manager an opportunity. Just go with some respectful, non-accusatory, approach to it. And I would love an opportunity, to provide, my, to be able to share my skills and my skill set, to offer up what, to show, to be able to assist, give more to the projects and everything. Please, I'm here, want to ask you to coach me on what I can do better to be able to have an opportunity to lead some projects. Say something along those lines, guys. You don't want to go to management with an accusatory tone or go to them in a confrontational way. You always want to lean back and just allow the conversation to unfold from a, just from an open and friendly, kind of tone and approach. Now, if that doesn't work and you see that the preferential behavior continues, let's move on to the next step. Your HR manager should always be open. Office should be always, have your HR manager should always be available to you for you to go to them and confidentially present your concerns and allow them to handle it. Now hopefully your HR manager is professional and understands the liability of not handling that in a professional manner. And so that they will be able to, address it in a way that's more, however they choose to do it, but in a professional and respectful way that doesn't, cause drama, because that happens too when HR managers are not professional and they aren't well trained and they don't understand the risk. Now, on the note of risk, another big thing that companies want to look out for, around preferential treatment is the legal risk. Because a lot of times preferential treatment can play out in a EEOC report or a court case as discrimination on some level. You have a person who's in your organization who's observing that only John and Jill, or only Michael Tyrone, get these opportunities, and guess what's happening next? They can draw the conclusion, and it may be preferential treatment is a result of discrimination of some kind. Maybe this person has a disability and they don't really want to choose them, and they don't feel as, drawn to them for whatever their reasons are, in their own mind. Or maybe, like I said, there's a racial, there's an ethnicity difference between the person who's always being chosen and the people who never get chosen. Be mindful. It is duplicitous and forgive me, bear with me on my choice of words, but I have to be honest with you guys for this episode, because this is something that is far too common. It's far too common, guys. It is duplicitous for a business owner to go into business only to destroy their own business. It is duplicitous for a person to start an organization, the blood, sweat, and tears that it costs them to grow an organization, and then turn around and start to destroy it bit by bit and slowly. I've watched companies slowly kill themselves because of these kinds of things, guys. You have to create a zero tolerance policy in your organization when it comes to preferential treatment and when it comes to, like I said, favoritism. No matter how you feel, no matter how much it may just, feel better to a lot of these people, because a lot of this stems from just personal preferences. What has to always be put at the top of the list is your bottom line. And the bottom line gets protected by doing what's right by your people in your organization. That is a major, that's a very vital, consideration and concern when it comes to protecting your bottom line. You have to do it. You have to make sure that your people are taken care of, because turnover, like they say, word of mouth. Well, guess what? Word of mouth works when it comes to, your turnover too. When it comes to you being able to keep your organization well staffed with good talent, it is very important, guys. And not to mention, like I said, the legal aspect. Somebody walks away and is able to take money from your company because of discrimination, because one of your managers is being allowed to, practice preferential treatment. Why would you have a management team that destroys your company? That is what I would call, and you'll hear me reference here, as viruses. Okay. That is a form of a virus within your own company. There is a form of toxic. I know the word toxic is viral right now, so let's go ahead and use it. There is a form of toxic management. Okay. Toxic management within your organization. And you want to be very careful to not allow that. Do not tolerate it. People who work for your company, who are managers, they should not be allowed to come in and, do that. Now, speaking to the managers, if this is something that you see in yourself, I suggest that you self-correct, that you are able to, say, hey, let me get this in check. I gotta make sure that I'm doing what's in the best interest of the company, and also in the best interest of your particular role and your opportunity within that organization. Because again, when it boils down, I've seen these things play out. When it boils down, and if a company catches a lawsuit with your name on it, I've seen people go out the door right along with that, that lawsuit, because it now rises to the top, right? Eventually, all these things rise to the top, and they are not going to tolerate it. They do not want to have to pay for your poor judgment and decisions. Go check out the Colleagues Pub, guys. Join the Colleagues Pub. There is there's a membership in the Colleagues Pub that is particularly for managers, and that's called the Boardroom. And that's what you will be able to discuss with other managers. So, the things that you need to learn. There will be conversations. There'll be special guests. There'll be a lot of, training and everything for managers. If you, are having challenges about, knowing how to navigate these kind of situations, join the Colleagues Pub, guys. If you're an employee and you're having challenges and you don't know, how to navigate this in your workplace, you're like, yeah, I'm dealing with the issue of favoritism right now. I'm dealing with never feeling heard right now. I'm dealing with all these things. Allow me join, send me an email. I would love to explore your situation with you further to help you be able to better, understand what exactly it is that's happening in your situation. And I'm sorry, guys, I spent a lot more time on this than I intended to. I was planning on just jumping in for a 15-minute, live on lunch conversation with you guys. But this one needed a little bit more, elaboration because it's such a bad and toxic and poisonous thing in a company, guys. This poisons teams like something I've never seen before. And it may people and managers may be thinking, oh, well, it suits the company because I have a bunch of people that I'm super friendly with. Organizational cliques, guys. This should be no more tolerated than organizational crime, than organized crime. You guys should shut that down so fast in your company because you can have some, like I said, some of your most ready and talented people in your company are not the ones that are walking around, blowing off your time, whatever, because they're thinking about your time, because they want to make a real impact, because they really do care about the organizational goals, and they are focused on getting their work done. And you can't have toxic managers in your organization, guys, who are too busy trying to feed their own social needs in your company. And that's what they're doing in your company, guys. And they're destroying your company. And they're destroying the morale of your workers, which also, like I said, it destroys your productivity, guys. You should have a zero tolerance policy for this kind of behavior, guys. You should have a zero tolerance policy for favoritism within your organization. Anyway, I'm so glad to be on here making this video, guys. I hope that it helps someone. I'm going to join me over here, guys, as we are working to make amazing workplaces, to create, to build amazing and strong employees and colleagues over here, guys, and also to help better and strengthen management so we can watch organizational growth as a result of it, creating fair and better and healthier workplaces, guys. Thank you so much for joining me over here for this episode. So anyway, guys, that is my wrap up for this particular episode of Live at Lunch. I'm so excited, guys. I cannot wait to get into so anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. That is the end of my episode of Live at Lunch over here, guys. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Live at Lunch. I'm going to wrap it up here. This is the end of today's Live at Lunch, guys. Please join me tomorrow for tomorrow's Live at Lunch. And if you haven't watched the previous videos, go check them out. And I'm going to leave information in the description about how you can follow me, where you can find me, how you can email me. If you have a story that's going on with your workplace right now, whether you're an employee, a manager, a leader, I don't care. I'm here to support you. I've got your back. Check me out. Book me in my calendar below. I will respond via email based on, what it is that you're reaching out to me for. Book me in the calendar below, guys. Send me an email at clockedinwithmb@gmail.com. And go ahead and check out the link for the Colleagues Hub, because that is where you're going to find a lot of support. We're going to be doing some amazing events, guys, some great networking. We are going to make moves on how to build amazing workplaces, guys. But also, like I said, I'm here to support both sides. And as I always say, guys, we always do our best, but we're always prepared to deal, appropriately when people don't reciprocate. Get ready and stay clocked in over here with your coach MB. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day.